Thank you for the hard welcome book, of the book, because many people are saying good things about the book, the people that already read it, because I think it's something good. I think it's something nice for the community, and you will see some things just like the ones I'm going to show you right now. Can anybody check if my screen is showing correctly?
Yes, correct. It is.
Okay, perfect. So, well, I'm going to talk to you about how to reuse flows connected to SharePoint list. Uh, this is some kind of the stuff that you are going to find on the book, because it's a use case about an experience I already find in one of my projects recently with a company, with a customer, that we wanted to create, that had many sites in SharePoint, many complex structures, and they wanted to have automation in all the document libraries that were necessary in those sites, right? The thing is that if you think about something about related to SharePoint list and Power Automate, you say, okay, I create a SharePoint list, I'm going to create a document library, or connect that to the SharePoint, to a Power Automate flow, do whatever it needs to be done, okay? But what about when you need to do the same thing on each document library or each SharePoint list, and the Power Automate does the same? It's the same flow that does for example, ask for approval process, sends an email, or whatever the Power Automate needs to do. If you have many document libraries, or many sites, or many lists, you will need to create the flow for each list or each document library, and that's going to be hell. Because what if the customer says, oh, now I want to send an email after the approval process, and then enter some information in a on-premise server, or whatever the customer needs. You will need to edit or modify all the flows that are connected to all the sites or all the document libraries. That would be crazy, because it's a ton of work, it's many hours of work, and we came up with this idea to create just one flow that connects to any site. I'm going to show you how to, well, sorry, I'm going to show you with an example how, in a shorter version of what this use case we already created, okay? So, well, let me tell you a little bit about me. My name is Michael Mendoza. I'm a business apps MVP, and I'm the team lead of the business apps team in my company, Intelequia. And as they mentioned, I'm also the new author of the Power Apps Cookbook from Pack Publishing. And, well, you will see me on all sorts of events, as I don't know, Power Platform World Tour, Global Azure Bootcamp. I'm always trying to help the community with the things I do, or I create, or I invent regarding the Power Platform. Anything I create, or any idea I come up with, I love to share it, just because I don't want the people to not suffer. But sometimes you came up with this thing that you need to do, or the customer asks, and you say, oh man, how can I do this? How can I approach to this solution? And sometimes you go around thinking how to do it, and don't follow, or don't find the solution. It would be nice if you do a searching in your search provider, and said, let me see if someone found this solution, or someone knows how to do this. And it's really good that you see, oh man, thanks God that someone came up with the idea to solve my solution. So that's the main idea of me sharing all the things I do. And you can follow me on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or anything. You will see that as particular my name is, everything is at Eichel. Okay, so I'm really active on Twitter. So, and I also have a blog. It's called Power Nimbus. And you will see the links at the end of on the slides. And you will see and you will find some things that I did with Power Apps and Power Automate in there. So, as I said earlier, this is one use case, just like the case that I had with this customer. I'm going to show you an example of a company, of a nonprofit organization that works with a charity as a charity. It looks for the proposals of what things that the charity organization can do or to help people. I don't know. Build a school for children, help give a lending help for immigrants, or whatever the things that we can do to help other people. Okay, so this organization works looking for proposals. They study the proposals, they see the scope of these proposals, and they want to have an automation for anyone that creates or inputs a proposal in a specific document library. It inserts a team message in the charity team site, okay, or on the team group, okay. So they wanted this solution. So with what would you think to do? Create the document library, connect the Power Automate, and once a document gets loaded in this document library, it ignites the Power Automate Cloud Flow to send the notification to Teams. It might be simple as that, but this charity, this organization, it starts to grow. It has a solution in Europe, has an edition or another company in Europe, another company in Americas, and still starts to grow. And all these companies has the same request. Whenever we input the proposal, we want to send a notification to the team site. So what are we going to try to see how to get the solution for this request? We're going to use, of course, Power Automate, because Power Automate has many use cases for solutions to integrate with many things, to automate many things in your organization. For example, you want to integrate data, you want to automate processes, you want to ignite or trigger some process depending on timing or a document library or a input from a request. You can do all sorts of things with the Power Platform. Okay, so this is going to be a weapon of choice to help build this solution. Okay. And as I told you before, we're going to use a flow association with a document library. First, I'm going to show you how it works, what it's supposed to do, and how it's doing it. And then we are going to expand this organization to the Americas site, okay? This Americas site, we're going to recreate all the things that we are going to see right now. And so you can see and you can look how to create this. I'm going to show you some code. So this Power Automate Cloud Flow, I'm going to export it. I'm going to submit this to my GitHub repository. So if you want to try it, and if you need to do this same approach or this same solution, you can download this Power Automate Cloud Flow, import in your organization, and start working with this. As you know, The document libraries are born from SharePoint lists. So if one thing that you need to keep in mind is that if we use a SharePoint list or a document library, they both use the same base structure. They have an ID to know which element is in the list or the document library, but the document library has many more schema or a rich schema for files. For example, if you need to know the file type, if this file type is known in SharePoint or whatever things that is or whatever structure that needs to be recorded for documents for these things. Okay, so I'm going to show you right now this approach I was telling you about. Okay. This is my site. This is the charity organization I was telling you about. This is an organization. I created this site just to represent my example. Okay, so let me show you how it works. You have this charity site that has many information from the main site on how to help people around the world in this organization. This site has is a hub site for all the other sites that you will see in this organization. For example, the Europe site helps people in Europe sending food, giving help, whatever they need to do to help people on these continents or these countries or whatever. Okay, and we also have the America site that helps people in all America's countries. Okay, so you see volunteer work, how to learn how to help these people or whatever it is. But this is just an example of whatever of what my solution can help. Okay, so in this site we have proposals. You see here in a proposals document library that has some documents. You will see here you have three documents loaded in this document library. And if we see here, we see several buttons created for each element that you upload to this site. For example, you have here a pencil to edit properties. We have a delete button to delete the element, and we have a Teams icon here to notify through Teams. Let me show you how it works. Let's say we click on proposal BBB. If I click here, you will notice that this right pane opens, asking to execute this flow. As you can see, it's going to notify through Teams. The flow is called Teams notification handler, and if I click here, it will ignite the trigger of the flow. If we go to Microsoft Teams here, you will see that in this team and the general channel, I just received a new proposal. This is a notification that there's a new proposal. The proposal is BBB, and please review the received proposal using the provided link. If I click here, I will see this document. Okay, so this is enough. It's just when I click that, it ignites this adaptive card in this team channel. Okay, so great. This is already linked in this document library. But what if the Europe site has the same request? I go to the proposals here. They have a proposals document library, but as you may notice, this has different schema. We have a name, a status as well, but we have the scope because Europe needs to know the scope of these proposals, if it's local, international, whatever. Who's going to be leading this proposal, and the currency it is running this proposal. But what if I click here on the proposal EEE? If I click here, I see the same right pane to execute the flow. If I click here, I'm going to see the flow is already started. and there here is the new proposal. EEE, please review. If I click here, it will open the proposal from, well, it's the same document, just as a template, but it will open the proposal located on that site. Let's see if we can see here. It's in Europe in proposal. Okay, so you don't see I'm lying. Okay, so we can see here the Europe and the charity site are different sites, as you can see, sites charity, and this is sites Europe. Are different sites, are different document libraries, and they both share the same Power Automate. How can we see how it's sharing the same Power Automate? I will go to see here. As you see, the Teams notification handler is the one actually listening to this request. If I'm going to refresh here, so you can see the latest runs. Okay, see 1 minute ago. And the executant. Let me show you how this team works. And this is where the complexity begins. So for this team to work or to know that is running on SharePoint, the first thing we need to create is for a selected item. If you have been working with a Power Automate linking with document libraries or SharePoint list, you will see that for a selected item is meant to be used in SharePoint list, but we are using it on document libraries as well. We can use for a selected item or for a selected file, as you will see in document libraries. You can use either thing. If you're planning to use this flow for a SharePoint list and a document library, you will select for a selected item because it uses the same base as document libraries. If you are going to use this in many document libraries, you can use for a selected file. It will record all the same elements that we need in our solution. Okay, so this will get the information from the document from the document that is igniting the flow. I'm going to let you know some tricks here. The first thing is that we are going to need to clear this data, because if we don't clear this data, let's use this example. Let me click charity, and let me click here. There's no items, because in my charity site there are no the SharePoint lists. So and I don't need this to be linked to a specific document library or a specific SharePoint list. So what we do, because if I do this information, if I set this information, the site address and the list name, if I click an item here and then click here, Power Automate, the flow will appear here. So I don't want this to appear here. I want this to execute when I click on here. Okay, so this is the first trick. The first trick is go here, enter custom value, and we can put dummy data, for example. In the list name, we're going to test data, for example. We're going to click save. Enter custom name, test data, and then we can click here. This way, the flow is already aware of SharePoint sites, but it's not linked to any specific SharePoint site or document library. So the first thing that we need to do here is we are going to create two variables. I'm going to explain you later on why we are using variables in this Cloudflow. One is to hold the SharePoint site, to know which SharePoint site is calling me, and the SharePoint list, which SharePoint list or SharePoint document library is calling me. The name is SharePoint list because they are both the same. So the first thing that we need to do is to detect the link type. Why? Because SharePoint creates, let me go here and show you the ugly stuff. Okay, this is the, oh, sorry. I created a document without, okay. This is the ugly thing. We need to detect the link type because SharePoint, when it gets ignited from a document library or a SharePoint list, creates two types of links. You will see them here. You will see that, let me show you this in a better way. Let me go back, let me go here, and let me show you with an example of a recent executing how this works. Whenever this gets triggered, if I click on here on the output, let me show you, show raw inputs, you will see here that we get the ID of the element that is being called, that is igniting this flow, that is triggering this flow, the URL from when it's calling, the file name, and the file ID. This is almost the same. The ID and the file ID is in all use cases are almost the same. But pay attention to the link. You see here the name of my site, sites, Europe, layouts, and a whole bunch of elements. Okay. Sometimes you will get this link type, or sometimes you will get this one. Why does change it? Because well, I honestly don't know why it is sending one or the other. I try to figure it out why. So, well, if I haven't found why it's calling this way or the other, I created let me see you. Let me tell you a condition to see which type of link I'm receiving. So with this question, I'm finding, give me from the item URL that I'm receiving, if you find this text layout, to see if I'm receiving this link or I'm receiving this one. If I'm receiving the layouts type, okay, I'm going to create this solution. I'm going to split the URL from the layouts part. What this does, it looks for the layouts part and breaks this like this. If I create this split, creates an array of two elements, this element and this element. If I get the first one, I already have the URL from the SharePoint site that is calling me. That's an easy one. The ugly one is if I need to get the ID of the list that is calling me. So what I do this, something just like I did before. If I go the URL, I break this from the list ID, and using text functions, I replace this part, and then I get this part, and I get this GUID. This GUID is the internal name of the SharePoint site, of the SharePoint list, sorry. For the other approach, if I receive one with the forms part, I do the same. I create this, break this from here, from the proposals, sorry, from the forms part, and with a concat and on some other formulas, I already get from here, I get the site and the name of the document library. I know this is something pretty difficult to see it at first hand, but that's why I'm sharing this Cloudflow with you, so you don't need to think about this. What this does in Power Automate, let me edit here. Let me zoom out a little. Okay, here, close this one. Okay. First, I'm using, just to let you know, I'm using scopes. Why I'm using scopes? Because it's one of the best practice when you're creating cloud flows. Because if something breaks inside this scope, this little box, you can act accordingly. As you can see here, and I'm using a parallel branch. So if everything goes well, do what you need to do, that is sending the notification to Microsoft Teams, or if it fails, do some error management. For example, I'm terminating the flow with a code and a message. I could send this to the developer team. The flow had an issue detecting the link type, so it didn't work correctly. So what I'm doing here is what I showed you before in the code. I have a condition here if the link has a layout or not. If it doesn't have a layout, go here and we set these variables, set non-layout site. We set the SharePoint site using the code that I showed you before, and we set the list with the code before. I'm going to show you another example here that is something that is really valuable for you to know. If the SharePoint site has the layout in the link, we get the SharePoint site, the URL, this part of the URL determine the SharePoint site, and this one gets the SharePoint list. In the layout version, as you recall, the ID of, you get the GUID, the ID of the document library, and the forms version, you get the name of the document library. If you need to do some things in your document that, for example, you need the name specifically, or you need the GUID specifically to do another thing, you might use this part of the code. In the non-layout site, I get the name of the document library. I could use this box, this action in Power Automate that is called REST. Send an HTTP request to SharePoint. This is a free, as you can see, action in Power Automate that sends specific actions or specific requests to SharePoint through the API. So you can get more info, you can do more things that you cannot do, for example, in Power Automate. And for example, in this case, I'm sending, as I already know the SharePoint site, I can send a request to get from this list the GUID of this list. So I can, from the information I receive, both sides of the parallel branch will get the GUID of the SharePoint list that ignited the flow. This way, we can interact with this list and use it for example, in our main scope, to do some things. For example, get the file properties. I can use the variable I have. I can use the site and the list, and the ID comes from the request, from the actual execution. And I can, for example, here I'm creating a sharing link. So when I receive this adaptive card, I can click here and open the file from a sharing link. I create a sharing link from a file or a folder. I get the ID here, the link type, I'm setting this as view only, and from the people of the organization. What I do with this information? I can go here and post an adaptive card. You have seen how the adaptive cards work through the whole day, from all the great sessions that talk about using adaptive cards and all the stuff. I don't want to repeat all this information, but I'm going to show you later on where you can get more reference on how to create these adaptive cards. As you can see, it's a JSON file, a JSON structure that with some properties that paint an adaptive card, in this case in Teams. You can set information inside this adaptive card, for example, the name of the file and the sharing link we just got from SharePoint. As you can see, it is just an adaptive card, and this already sends this information to this general channel in the Teams, charity Teams, okay? Let me show you how this, another execution to see what we receive from each step. As you can see, as I showed you before, from this I got the ID, and this case is a layout link, the name, and the ID of the file. It goes here, it creates the variables, and it's detecting the link type. It sees that it's a layout link, so goes here and gets already the name of the site. In this case, it's charity. If I go here, I get the GUID of the SharePoint list. This GUID works as the same as setting just the name of the SharePoint list. You can see here, I'm setting for the get file properties, I'm setting the site address and the library name. As you can see, I'm sending the GUID here. It works just okay and if I put here, for example, proposals, okay? And using the ID, I get information. I can create the sharing link also using the GUID, and it creates the link. And then I just simply put the message to the team channel I already configured for the charity team and the general channel. Okay, so this is how it works. And the other way around, let me see if we get lucky here. Let me see another execution. If we see some execution using let's see, the forms. No, let's see here. If I have, oh, okay, we got lucky. Okay, this one has the forms. It's not a non-layout. It does the same. In this case, it gets the SharePoint sites Europe and then goes here. And as you might think, it already took proposals as the name of the document library. But we want both, we want to have the GUID for this. So we're using the send the HTTP request to SharePoint and let them, the SharePoint said, okay, I want from your API, from your webs that are all the sites that you have in SharePoint, I'm sending the name of the site. From all your list, get the list by title, and it gets proposal. It gets all kinds of raw metadata from that document library. But in those information that you will see here, let's see me show raw input. You will see just below here is the ID, is the GUID from that document library, and I just get that information from there, from that response, and I'll also use the document the GUID in the document library. You can use both ways. You can delete these two steps because everything in Power Automate will work with a GUID or a name. But if you want to use the same on both sides, for example, the name or the GUID, you can use this approach, okay? Now that this works correctly, it's getting the file properties from the GUID, just as we did before, and we can get all the information that we need to send the notification to Teams. With how this works completely, I'm going to show you now that we know how our Cloudflow is working. I'm going to show you how it's tied in SharePoint, because if you can see here in Europe, if I click a document or I select a document, if we click here, we don't see the flow. It's not really connected to this document library. It's just connected to all document libraries that are using this, what I'm going to show you here. But I'm not going to show you how it works, and we're going to do it you're going to do it with me. Let me put this here. So, okay. We're going to use a new thing that is being used in document libraries and SharePoint. As you can see, SharePoint document libraries and lists are really powerful right now, because we have all this formatting, all these codes here, so to create great things in SharePoint. To give more appealing look to users when they're just not using a plain list or a plain document library with no information, not code, color, or whatever they need to show you this information, because it looks just better and gives you more insight. I rapidly see that these two are using euro currency because they're yellow, and the status of this is already new, okay, with great looks. So we're going to leverage on this this approach to improve our document libraries. Another thing that that you will get from this, and that's why we see 3 buttons here, is just to let you know that this is really helpful for document libraries, because if you wanted to add metadata to a document library, to a document here in a document library, it's really painful, because it's not an easy way to do it just as you do in list, because you click the element, click edit, and it's easy as that. When you click a document, you don't get the edit button unless you edit in grid view. So you need to click here, more, properties, edit, and then go to the edit form. It's really painful. Or another approach is to select one element here, go to the info here, and then go to edit. Sorry, not edit columns now. Edit all, and then you get here. As you see, all those steps just to get to the edit pane. Okay, it wouldn't be easy just to click here and open the edit properties of this document. Will be easier for users. Users will be, okay, this is the edit the metadata of this document and save. Easy as that. We get more and more utilities from this approach, or of using column formatting in SharePoint. Okay, so we are going to do this here in live. Okay, so wish me luck. So we're going to the site contents of this site of the Americas. They tell, okay, we are going to use the same solution. We need to use the proposals here as well in this site. So we get here, create a document library. It's going to be called proposals as well. Oh, let me give you another name. Let me America proposal without the spaces, without the S. Okay, showing site navigation. We already have this document library. I'm going to edit this a bit, show and hide columns. I don't want to see the modified. And I want to create a column here that is, I don't know, just know, proposal. Let's an example, USA. Okay, the full value is yes. And modify USA here and apply. Okay, we only have, we're going to use this, it's not, okay, now it's working. I thought it was going to see a demo. Okay, we're going to get, I don't know, this proposal here. Okay, so I upload this a proposal here. We're having this, it already is in as a USA proposal. Okay, we're going to use the same approach for here. What we can do to add these columns here, we create a dummy column a dummy column here. We'll go here at column, we create a more. We go to we create more. No, we go to more to create a calculated column. Why a calculated column? Because I don't want this column to have data, to hold data for this document library or this list. Go to calculated here, and we're going to use a formula that does nothing. Equals, quotes, quotes. It does nothing, just will serve as a placeholder for our column formatting code. So we already created this column. and we just need to add the code to have these buttons. And I have it already here. You will get this in the GitHub repository as well. I'm going to format this column. Sorry, I go to this column, right? Click on here, column settings, and format this column. You can see you will get the approach to format the whole view of the column. For example, alternating row styles or conditional formatting. If the status is paint a red line or whatever, but we can also format specific columns, and this is what we're going to do. We can use conditional formatting to set the color depending on the value, but we can go here to advanced mode. I'm going to paste the code that I already have here. If I paste here and I click preview, you will see it, the buttons that I showed you before. We're going to take a look at the code just about now. Okay, move it here so it goes really good with a document type. As you can see, if I click edit, I get this information here. But I see, for example, the title that I'm not going to use this field, or the actions here. As you can see, it's a read-only field because it's a calculated column. I don't want to use this. So one of the first things that we can do to improve this is go here, click on the information details pane, and click here, edit columns. These are the columns that are going to appear when someone wants to edit a document element. So I click set here, unset actions, and hit save. This way, when I try to edit, I'm going to see just these two buttons, these two fields, sorry. I can click here and save, and this is not a USA. I can also click on edit on delete to the trash. It will work. And if I click here to notify through Teams, you will see the Teams pane will open up to execute the notification. I can see here, we're going to go to the Teams site, and if everything works well, as you can see here, it's already working. Proposal DDD, is it the same? Oh, okay, yeah. We get the notification. I can open the proposal here. It's the same document. We can check here the location, America's proposal. It's working with the same flow, and no matter how many sites you create. And a very important thing is that we are using different schemas on document libraries. This has a USA column, the other one, the proposals in Europe has currency scope. It doesn't matter the scope of your document library, it will work. And especially depending on some things. You might, for example, want to change the status of this of all the proposal. Well, you need to have a status column on each document library, so the flow can change the status to notified or whatever. If you don't have this column, it won't work, or it won't be able to update this column. How I'm working with the column formatting. Okay. This works just using this schema, and it creates certain elements in this space of the column. Okay, so we get in a div, we get some children. The first children, as you can see through here, is the edit button. You can see here is a button. What is the action that is going to execute? Edit props. That is the name, as the name implies, is edit properties, and we can set some styling attributes as, for example, the color, the hover name as edit properties, some padding, just to make it look nice. And this button will also have an icon that already has in SharePoint, that is a Office Fabric. I will show you here what I mean. Office Fabric icons are these icons. You can see, I will send you these links as well. You will see that there are many icons here for you to use. You can use mail, and you will get all sorts of icons already embedded in SharePoint. So you will just need to set the name of the icon here, and it will show you that icon. The same goes for the delete action. I click here on delete. I click the pointer, and sorry, I click the pointer. This is a hand pointer for the icon. It's using the same the styles, and the icon name is delete. And lastly, I'm using an action that is called execute flow. What I need to do, what this action needs to execute, it needs the parameters for which flow is going to call. So how we know how to give the column formatting these parameters? We go to this flow, the one that we want to execute, and you will see here a GUID of the flow. Is the internal identificator of this flow. If we copy this here, put it here, just like you see here, it will call this flow with this ID, and you will see some header text as you saw. For example, notify through Teams. Notify through Teams. This is the header text that is on top of the right panel that opens, and this is the button that gets executed that is shown in the bottom, and some styling attributes for it as well. It even has a Teams logo icon that you will see in the UI fabric here. If I click, if I find here Teams, is this one, the one you're looking at. And sorry, I over copied here, and it's just that. This is the column formatting that. Let me show you the site that I lost. Oh, well, this is the column formatting that is running here. So this offers an excellent approach or an excellent solution to build many document libraries or many SharePoint sites, and it will work with SharePoint. Another trick that I'm going to show you here is one of the last ones. Let me see if I get the time. Is that you also can request more information for the flow execution. Let me show you what I mean. The first trigger card that you see here has the site address and the list name, but it has add an input button. If I click here, I can ask information of these types. I can ask a text element, a yes or no, a file, an email, number, some things that you might need to ask to the user for that specific document. Let me give you an example. Let's put here an email, approval, or let this lead, and a file. And we're going to click save. As you see, I'm editing just one flow. And I'm going to go whatever, I don't know, Europe, and I click here, and this flow is already has this pane will ask information that I set on the flow, and it's asking me with delete. For example, you might need to set a specific person that needs to approve this document, not just delete that appears here. And you can ask for that. I can put here, I don't know, my name, and it will look in the Active Directory of this organization. It was okay. This is the one that needs to be act as the lead of this document, and I'm going to import I don't know, the logo of my company, and the flow will work just as the same. If we go here, we click on the proposal DDT. If we go to Teams, here's the proposal. Well, it's just it's the same as the last one, but you can see the timing. Okay, what happened in our flow? We go to the last execution here, just 21 seconds ago. You will see in the output or the I don't know why it's called outputs, but because it's actually the input, but you get what I mean. I get the information that I ask in the pane, the email, and the base64 representation of the file and the name of the file that I just attached to my flow. Imagine all the things that you can do with this. You can ask for a specific element to change the lead, to set who's going to approve this document, to input another document that you need that your flow is going to need in order to do something with this document. For example, you need to execute a flow that is acting on invoices. And when you click that, you need to attach the offer or whatever that it needs to be that needs to go with that invoice, and all documents we're going to execute in or do whatever it needs to do in the flow. All the things, the possibilities are endless. And one last thing, let's see if I can do another thing rapidly. If I create, for example, I create an action here to update. Oh, sorry, update SharePoint. Let's see. Update file properties. If I click here and set charity, library name, proposals, and I set the same ID I'm being used, you will see that I get requested both elements that I have in my document library. You will the action box will show you all the columns that are in this document library. What if I work with several document libraries that have different schema? Not all will have the title on the status. Some will have the lead. Some will have the currency. This won't work if I put the names here. But if I set custom values here and said, this is the SharePoint site, this is the custom value, the SharePoint list, then you will get a body to edit the properties. And then I can set only the properties that I want, for example, the status, and set the value to, I don't know, notified. This way I can have full control of the schema. I don't need to set each field for the specific document libraries, because all document libraries won't have the same schema. But this way I can simply, by setting this body in this JSON format, I can set I don't care what's the schema of this file. I'm setting the properties. Just set the status to notified. I don't care all the other columns that you have here. You will see here. You will set this only this column. Just about time. I thought I wasn't going to get all the time that I needed to show you all the things that I wanted to show you. The resources, all the things that I show you today, the adaptive cards. You can use the designer here to edit your adaptive card to match your needs, the colors, or whatever you need to use to send the notification. And for example, the values that you need to set. For example, what I did for my case, it was to edit this, modify some information, and delete one of these buttons, and it just is the same. You can use, for example, here to set the in the teams how it will look. Okay. The SharePoint list formatting samples. In this website, you will get many information. So how to format views, how to format columns, and recently SharePoint allowed to use formatting of this page. Okay, what is the edit page? It's really new, so let's see if I can have another session on how to work with this to have some styling to this edit form. Okay, And what I showed you before, the UI fabric icons, you will see that this website allows you to use to see all the fabric icons that are available in SharePoint. There are many websites just like this, but this is one that I like. And also, this is my GitHub repository. GitHub, as you might think, is /icon. You will see some sort of Power App samples and Power Automate samples to see how, with ideas on how to do things in the Power Platform. Okay. And what have we learned today? We learned how to use a Power Automate for multiple lists or document libraries in SharePoint. It doesn't matter. You can even use one for lists and document libraries, depending on the schema and also the things that you will do in this flow. You can use this for different SharePoint sites, so you can have one only flow and use it on many sites. And the dynamic schema approach that I told you just at the end. So you can just simply put the specific column that you need to work with. And thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I know this is a Sunday, this a day to rest, but well, and as a token of my appreciation to thank you, here is a discount if you don't get lucky to get the free book that is being sending you in this session, in the global event. And this is a 25% discount to get my book. Only one thing that I forgot to mention: if you're going to use flows connected to SharePoint, you need to create them in the default environment. If you create them in another environment, they won't work. Just this tiny thing, just so you know that all SharePoint, all flows connected to SharePoint sites need to be created in the default environment. Just that. Okay. So once again, thank you, and I hope you enjoy my session. Bye-bye.